Mhm.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Whatever time you're watching the Student Athlete Playbook video conversation, we say thank you. And as you know, as we do, we interview the best student athletes, the best parents, the best youth service providers, the best coaches, the best educators, the top people around the planet that we can connect with that are serving our young people in a positive and productive way, where their character is being poured into so that they grow into the outstanding adults that they're destined to be. We hope we've given them the tools to do that in a major way. I am Barry Brown, author of the #1 book for youth student athletes, the Student Athlete Playbook, and also a part of the leadership team for the nonprofit organization Youth Education and Sports. And today we have a major student athlete playbook video conversation because we're talking about that money, that cheddar, that dinero. Hey, whatever you call it, that's what we're talking about today. And it's financial literacy that we're serious about. It's one thing I've learned over the years that I didn't know nothing about money until I was about 40 years old. I knew I had to earn it. I knew I had to use it to live, but I had no idea how to really make it flow.
Mm.
And we have some outstanding people on this call, this session, this video conversation today. They know a lot more about money than I do. And they're going to help us all learn today. And they're going to share some things that we all can do to improve our money getting situation, our money saving situation, and our money investment situation, which is critical to us living the lives that we want to live. And most importantly, serving while we live. So without further ado, let me introduce our esteemed crew today. So I'm gonna start with ladies first. My mom taught me how to have some politeness and some consideration and to be a gentleman. So hey, we're gonna start with ladies first. We're gonna start with Miss Karen Rogers of Youth Education. Well, I'm gonna make her a part of our organization, but she's really a part of Y.E.S, based out of Los Angeles, California. Miss Karen Rogers, how you doing out there today? How you doing today?
We're doing great. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Outstanding. And now, the other young lady on this session today is Miss Kathy Gardner. Now, listen, as we talk, you're going to find out really who these people are. Now, we met Kathy Gardner about 5 years ago at the same time we met Miss Karen. And hey, these some real outstanding ladies. So, Kathy and Karen. Kathy, how are you doing today? Based out of California.
Cali is speaking right now. Thank you very much for the invite. We do appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And then also, we're going to just stay on the West Coast for a minute. We have the gentleman, met this gentleman 5 years ago as well. He is the head of G.A.M.E, our brother organization out there in California. And he's just been a tremendous blessing to us. Mr. Alan Thigpen, how you doing today, sir?
Doing well. Thank you for inviting me to be on the panel. And just to clarify, we had a little conversation before this started. It is currently 75 degrees in Los Angeles. So that's why I'm not leaving.
Oh, you just had to throw that in there.
I had to throw that in.
You just had to throw that in there. See, that's why you, Karen, Kathy, y'all smiling like y'all do that beautiful weather y'all have out there.
It's nice.
And these two gentlemen right here that we're going to introduce are dear to my heart. We're going to start with my brother, Geoff Brown, based out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I say North Kakalaki because I talk about South Kakalaki, so I must put the Kakalaki on North Carolina as well because I went to college in South Carolina, but this is Geoff Brown out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Geoff, how you doing today, my brother?
I am well. Thank you for the beautiful introduction and excited to be here to share what I can. And if it helps some folks, that'd be even greater. So excited.
Man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for being here, my brother.
Thank you.
And then my brother, my business partner, the man that runs Youth Education and Sports. And we get down and we serve, we mentor. and we pour into young people to the best of our ability, wherever we can touch them and interact with them. And hey, this is none other than my brother, Coach Emery Williams. How you doing today, sir?
All is well. Greeting to everyone. And I'm just excited for us to be able to come together and talk about the topic today because it's going to impact and help a lot of people.
That's awesome.
Excellent. Well, hey, Emery, you know how we do, man. Let's jump right into this conversation. We got some outstanding people. And listen, Alan, you up first, because when I first met you and we were talking and you were giving me some information about your background, I'm like, man, this guy is a serious businessman, an entrepreneur. And I'm like, man, I believe I'm going to learn a lot from you. And it has turned out to be exactly that. And you, if you didn't know this, Alan, we do not bring repeat people back and do video conversations with them. This is actually your second video conversation, because several years ago, we did our first one with you about We Are G.A.M.E. So
Correct.
I'm going to give you that because you are our first repeat person with the Student Athlete Playbook video conversation.
Kudos.
Thank you.
So, Alan, when I first met you, you shared your sales and real estate background with me. And just, so our young people can get an idea, how has your background shaped your beliefs about money? But we're talking about money today, financial literacy. So how's your background shaped your beliefs about money?
Right. Absolutely. Thank you, Barry. First, I'd like to say, when I graduated from college, I got a degree in political science. I thought the world was all about politics. I mean, that was how I saw the world at that time. As I had more experience in business and got older, I realized the money is about the world. The world is about money. If you got money, you can buy politicians. I guess I shouldn't say that. You can buy all the ones you want. But I realized that I missed that part of it. Finances are key. They're really important. And for the average person, real estate is a good way to start to build wealth. And these were things that I didn't hear. People didn't tell me. I learned to become a real estate investor by becoming one. There was no class in school I could take to educate me how to become a real estate investor. Mm-hmm. So as I began to learn more and more about it, and I had a minor in history. And one thing I did realize, when a knight served his king well, what did he do? He gave him his own land, his own fiefdom, because he who controls the land controls what happens in the country. So once I began to see that side of it, I realized, wow, I really need to get into the financial aspects of it. And there's so many different parts of it. So, I mean, we can't cover it all. The other thing, and Barry, I think I said this to Coach when we were talking a while, Coach Emery, mm-hmm. We as a people can get together and we can talk about cars, and we can talk about houses, and we can talk about jewelry, and we can talk about the opposite sex. Well, we don't talk about money. We don't talk about how to make money. We brag about how much we spend on something. And they say the difference between people with real money is people without money brag about how much they paid for something. People who have money brag about how much they saved on what they bought. So there's a whole lot of things that, and we've got a great panel here. So I'm going to just say a little bit to get started. And the other thing I will say to the young people, and I'm starting to tell some of the young folks that we work with, if you're in your 20s, 30s, if your goal is to become a millionaire, forget it. You got to be talking billionaires, because being a millionaire is not all it's cracked up to be and all it used to be. The people who have the money now, it starts with a B. So anyway, that's just kind of a goal and a change in directions for some people.
That's a good point. I like.
Let's get to the panel on here.
No, Alan, I like that. I like the, and I've heard this quote recently in the last year when you talked about he who controls the land is really in control. I like that quote, and it's very good for our young people to understand that, because what I've seen moving forward in propaganda is telling these young people rent instead of own property. They're telling people to rent. And I don't understand that. So I love that quote. And I think that needs to continue to be said so people understand. No, you got to own some property versus renting the property. I love that. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Miss Karen.
Yes.
Now I've stayed, Emery and I, we stayed with you. I'm like, man, I like this here. This, this is super cool. So obviously you've done well for yourself and you understand money. You got to understand money to a certain degree. What are your views about money and the use of money? What are your views and the use of money?
Well, I look at money as a tool to enhance my life, to help me enjoy my life, and also to allow me to help others. Actually, that's where I get my most joy, is when I am serving others and helping others achieve their goals. And actually, we've got a fantastic panel here of people that how to work with your money. Once when I was divorced, I had no money, and I even had a business that was failing. I had people who owed me money, and they went bankrupt. So then I owed money from that. So what I did, okay, I've got this big hole that I've dug into. Or as students, they start out where they don't have anything. And so we've got to look at it one step at a time. And I started working at paying off those debts. And then, kind of buckling down and not doing anything frivolous. And then at one point, then I was able to start saving a little bit, and I could save a little more. And then I was listening to Alan and Kathy, and reading some other things about investing in real estate. And so I started to do some real estate investing, and I was able to get quite a portfolio going. And now I am in a comfortable home in a nice area, and I have some income coming in. I have an investment property, but I didn't start there. I started with nothing. And as they say, how do you eat an elephant? Just one bite at a time. And so I started just a little bit and just kept it growing and used the money as a tool so that I could, like when y'all came out, and I was happy to offer my home and and help the other young people. I mentor a couple of young girls, and I'm happy to help them see the possibilities of their dreams.
That's awesome. Karen, you said money is a tool. I absolutely agree with that. You talked about serving. Absolutely agree with that. Matter of fact, my college's, our mantra is, our statement to the world is, while we live, we serve. Vivimus livimus in Latin. And so you spoke it right into the atmosphere just now. Thank you. Look, paying off debts. Hey, if people could just get that part right, I think they'll be headed in the right direction. Just pay off some debts. How about that? And then you mentioned start saving. And then I couldn't even believe you used the R word. You tell the R word. You telling me you started reading and researching? That's what you were doing? That's unbelievable. Young people, you heard Miss Karen say it right out of her mouth. Hey, you got to read something. You got to read and research something instead of just reading and reading nonsense and gossip and crazy rhetoric. Hey, why don't you read something that can actually change your financial future? Miss Karen, thank you. Now, Geoff.
Yes.
Got to come to you, sir. We've had many discussions about investment over the years. As a matter of fact, you might be the first person in my life when I was in my 20s that I even had a conversation about investing. Now I'm 53. So you've been speaking to me for a long time. I wish I would have listened more when I was younger. Why is it so important to learn about investing in stocks and other investment opportunities as soon as possible? Why is that so important?
Sure. Beyond the knowledge and the knowing of what these investments actually are, defining what an investment is, defining what risk is, and trying to determine what a goal is. You mentioned before, maybe it's paying off debts and then savings, or maybe it's paying off debts and saving along the way. But the key in terms of starting early to young people, and their parents would be able to share, I think, and to affirm this, is that the more that you have in terms of time to let money grow in whatever type of investment it is, there's a magical thing called compounding interest, where, without getting too heavy into the math, but, hey, investment that earns 10% one year, hey, earns another 10%, but that 10% is off the 10 plus the starting point and that 10, right? So you add $100, for instance, earn 10, that's 110, right? So 10% on that is $11. So it goes from 110 to 121. And what you have is the compounding effect on money within investment returns. And with time on your side, God willing, as a young person, if you start young, the numbers are actually staggering in terms of the advantage that you have by your mid 30s, late 30s versus somebody who starts. Well, I'm saying if somebody who starts at 22 versus say 35 for retirement, the numbers are just staggering because of that. The leapfrogging occurs in those early years of returns, even if they're not that meaningful, but they're positive. That compounding becomes very, very important down the road.
Wow. Now, Geoff, you talked about the most important thing in the world, which is time. And I did not know that until I got to college. Kwanzaa Kunjufu. They brought Kwanzaa Kunjufu to my college, which was amazing. And I'm listening to him. And he asked us, he said, hey, what's the most important thing in the world? And, all of us were talking about money and property and all kinds. We were yelling out all kinds. Not one person said time. Not one person. And when he said, no, y'all have left out time. Time is the most important thing because it takes time to do any and everything. And I said, oh my goodness. And one of the biggest lessons that I learned about compound interest, the other amazing term you just used along with time, was when my father died, that you know so well, he had put $50 in an account back in the 80s. Now, I didn't know nothing about none of this stuff, but, I'm a kid. So after his passing, my brother and I get a letter in the mail, envelope in the mail. I'm like, what is this? Okay, boom, 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 boom. And, it's from an investment company or what have you. So, I open it up. I'm like, oh, man, are they serious? It was talking about some money.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And so, it was a decent amount. Matter of fact, it was like $3,800 or something like that, right? But it came out of nowhere, right? So, a part of my affirmations I learned, over the years is shout out to my brother Hazik. Money comes to me easily, frequently, in all kinds of ways, right? This money came out of the blue. It's not a part of the will or anything, life insurance, anything. This is totally separate money. So I'm looking at the statement. It's one investment of $50 back in the 80s.
Wow.
Now, Alan, Karen, Emery, Kathy, my father passed in 1999. One investment of $50 turned into $3,800. And I'm sitting here like, oh, now I'm in my 20s at this time. I'm in my 20s. And I'm like, oh my God, this is what they talking about when they start talking about compound interest. This is what Geoff talking about. Okay, I got it. Now I understand it a little bit better because I'm seeing it in real life application. So young people, if you just heard what Mr. Brown just told you, Geoff Brown told you, get started investing immediately because with time on your side, and this is a great quote, Geoff, I'm going to use this. With time on your side, the numbers are staggering.
Yes, they're staggering.
Staggering. So imagine if my father would have just made another investment in that thing, or maybe about once a month. Imagine what that money would have turned into. Staggering. Thank you, Geoff. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We wouldn't know you if that was the case.
There's a great chance. Yeah.
but
well, you already knew me.
Yeah, no.
Maybe Karen, Allen. No, I still would have met him anyway because of Uncle Willie. I still would have met Allen because of Uncle Willie.
That's true.
We would have been good.
That's true. One thing I do want to say, in terms of, Karen mentioned about the reading and research and what have you, and something I've taught my children as they were coming up is that the library now comes to you, right? You don't have to get up and catch the bus to get on your bicycle and ride to the library to do research. It all comes to you right here. And if you want to know what a stock is, do your search. Ask Siri, ask Google. You want to know what a CD is, a savings account, whatever it is, you'll be able to use this tool, another tool, to educate yourself about financial literacy, about things that are important to start and to think about in your younger years. And you can get a great definition and examples of compounding interest. So I just wanted to share that, Barry, really, that young folks have this tool called the cell phone that is really empowering, and you should use it. You should use it. Thank you for the extra time.
Wow, that's beautiful, man. Hey, it's no question, Geoff, that our young people, the student athletes, the student artists, the youth in general that we get a chance to work with, I'm talking about an amazing advantage that we did not have just simply because of the tool you just talked about, which is the cell phone. Outstanding, man. Thank you for that.
Yep. Good.
Now, Miss Kathy. Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now I've heard you speak 2 times now, and I'm always impressed with what you talk about because of the way you do it. The way you present the information is amazing and beautiful. Kind of like what Karen talked about when she said, how do you eat an elephant? One little piece at a time, and you break that thing down. So what kind of education, training, skills, internships do our youth, college students, adults, what do they need to do to start investing? What do they need to have in place to start investing?
Well, that's a great question. Thank you for asking. I would say that first thing is I would sit with myself and ask, what is it that I really want? That costs money. Because that's the only thing that we need every day, no matter if you're wealthy or you're not wealthy. We spend money every day on food, coffee, and whatnot, and bills. And even if you don't see yourself spending money every day, the light bill is going on, the gas bill. So you're still spending money. So I would always say, first, start with what you want. That costs money. And then start to open your eyes and identify some things about people who have what you want. And I think one of the quickest ways, of course, a quick way would to just go get a book and read it, of course, and there are a whole bunch of them. I mean, Geoff and I and all of us could rattle off a list of books that would be instrumental in sharing with your life. But I say if you can identify 1, 2, 3, or 4 people that have some of the things that you want, one of the quick ways to get a quick study is ask them the questions that you're asking us. How is it that you have this in mindset? Because I honestly can tell you, I have seen people who come to me with money. Someone has passed away and left him some money. They get a gift of some money. Yeah. And I guarantee you 6 months is gone. It's gone. It's gone because they don't know the value of it. They don't know how to educate themselves on it and talk to people who can and who still have. It's one of the things I learned early on. I had a mentor that taught me he said, these are the key words that scared me. He said, I used to. Man, I hate those words. He go, I used to drive a Bentley. I used to live in that neighborhood. I go, oh my God, I need to ride around in the car with this guy who used to. So I know how to say I never had to go through that. So, so I think if you can identify that, but sure, you got all kind of book series. What I have found out is that most people who are wealthy are very generous in teaching you the skills that they have obtained. And but the biggest skill that they can ever teach you is the mindset of how to have.
Woo. Wow. Wow. Did you say the word mindset? Is that what you just said, Ken?
I said it. I dropped it.
Because let me okay. Yeah, you dropped the mic on us right there. The mindset. Because while you were talking, and Karen, Alan, Emery, Geoff, tell me if y'all thought about this too when Kathy was talking. When she was talking about asking questions and she was talking about identifying what you want, immediately I went to Pursuit of Happiness. When that scene when which is based on a true story, that scene when Will Smith had that guy pulled up in front of the office in that nice car. I don't know if that was a Lamborghini or what it was, but he said, hey man, what do you do? And I promise you, ever since I saw that scene in that movie, which was based on a true story, I started asking people, hey, if I saw people looking in a certain way doing something, I said, hey man, what do you do? I need to know what you're doing. And so, Kathy, thank you, because I think that's what I know I got. And young people, parents, coaches, counselors, hey, when we have a chance to talk to these young people, Kathy also mentioned again, you needing this thing, reading and asking questions.
Right.
Like we have to ask questions about what's going on so we can find out. And Kathy said, people want to, wealthy people that are doing good, people that are in a certain place in their lives, they want to share information. You heard Karen say, I love to serve. We've seen it in action. Alan Thigpen loves to serve. That's where our game started from. Geoff Brown loves to serve. Coach Emery Williams loves to serve. So, Kathy, you hit it on the head. We spend money every day. We must identify what we want. We have to ask questions. And we have to move forward in a way that allows us to get what we want out of life. Hey,
Kathy, Barry, if I can just kind of jump in.
Go ahead.
Yeah, if I can jump in here, because Kathy said a couple.
Please do. Yeah, anytime y'all want to comment. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Kathy said made some key points there, was wonderful, and it kind of there were a couple things, and especially when we're talking like student athletes should relate to this, but everyone should. Number one, you show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. You want to hang around with people who know more than you do, who are smarter than you, and who you can learn from. Because if the people you're hanging around with can't offer you anything, yes, you might have grown up with them, but if all they want to do is smoke weed, take drugs, party, and that's not where you want to be, if you don't move on, you will be one of them. And number two, again, it's like athletics. You don't get better by competing against people that you can beat. You get better by competing against people who are better than you are. In the same way in the investment world and in financial world, you want to learn from people who know more and are doing more than you are. I mean, I've been around people and they'll say something and they think everybody knows it, and I'm writing it down. I think this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. So you can learn from people who know more. You can learn from people who are actually doing things as opposed to people who are just kind of hanging on. Thank you, Kathy.
Well put.
Thank you. No, I would comment right here. One of the reasons why it was very instrumental when I met Karen and Alan, it was one of transformational opportunities, because we met by a common friend who introduced us, and we would go camping. But the most important part about it, we all had real estate in common. and we all wanted to be wealthy. And we discussed wealth every night at the campfire. And then we discussed our technique and our trials and our tribulations. I was saying what worked and what wasn't working and how to make something better. We became resources to one another. And so you have education, and then you got association.
Yes.
You must, it's a must, because like Alan said, if you're not hanging around wealthy people or whoever you're hanging around, I mean, they wanted to get rich in real estate, so did I. And so we use different formats of real estate to do it, but it still came down to real estate. He who had the land, made, my uncle taught me, who paid for the roof made the decisions. And so that's why I had a curfew, because I didn't pay for the mortgage.
I love it. No. Kathy, what you and Alan just talked about, critical pieces of the puzzle for our young people. And we heard it growing up. Oh, you better watch who you hanging with. And I know myself, I can truly say that sports changed and saved my life, because I grew up playing sports, and those were the people I hung around. And thanks be to God, I was around some like-minded brothers. And here in the South, around the world, we use a little phrase called birds of a feather flock together. And so when you see one, you see another. And I can almost guarantee you what you all said is true, because everybody on this line is saying the same thing about your associations. So thank you, Alan. Thank you, Kathy, for that, because that's one of the things, Kathy, that and Geoff, I want Geoff and Karen. Well, we're gonna circle back to this, but one thing I want y'all to keep in mind is when y'all are talking, feel free to, like Alan did, to piggyback on somebody if you want to add some more information to that. Because we really want our young people to get it. But I'm gonna circle back to something in a second. But I want to get something from Coach Williams right quick. Now, Coach, we're talking to people all the time. We're in these schools, and we're finding out what these young people want to do, because our whole thing with youth education and sports is for them to have a game plan day one upon graduation. They already know what they're about to do. And now with this new era of NIL, which we're going to talk about here shortly, they have massive opportunities out here if they do it the right way. So, Coach Williams, Emery Williams, why is it so important for student athletes and student artists to learn about saving and investing? Specifically talking about the student athletes and student artists. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And the wisdom that I've just heard from our guest speakers, all four of you have brought such joy to my ears just to hear what you're talking about. And there's going to be a lot of people a lot of youth that, if they apply these things, are going to be much better off than their family members. Because what we're trying to do is to jumpstart their mindset at an earlier age. We're focusing on the elementary and middle school kids, so that when they get to high school, they already have a jump start on this thing called savings and investing. So backing up just a little bit, within our program, we talk to kids about having a backup plan to your backup plan. Yes, you may want to be a rapper, you may want to be a dancer, you may want to be the best basketball player ever, but you have to have a backup plan in case that doesn't work out. So we request that they start a business, and in turn, learn how to close that business deal on the golf course. But in order to start a business, you have to have some type of capital in order to start that business. So that base or starting point, we have partnered with credit unions. And through those credit unions, we're able to get free accounts for all kids. And in turn, we want to use that for our base, because then we can start talking about financial literacy. This credit union has allowed our kids that when they refer someone else, they will donate $50 to their accounts. So as they continue to refer other people, they're able to build that capital, in which the first thing they always say to us, oh, $50 per account that we bring in. If I get 10 people, that's $500. Yes, sir, it is $500. They do the quick math. They understand that money part. In turn, then they say, oh, I can go buy this. Oh, no, we're not talking about you going and spending that money right away. You have to save 25% of what you get, and then use that to start your business. And in turn, that's where their financial literacy component starts in. Within this credit union, they have a component that teaches about all the financial literacy terms. They teach about the language, and the programs that they have in place help them to start saving and investing. There's one part where they talk about owning a football team and the finances behind that. So they have real world situations in which they can start to learn about financial literacy. We have a lot of people who talk about financial literacy for adults, but it's not really broken down to kids. So within this credit union system, we break all of that down. And the why behind it is because we want them to have that background. With the NIL, which kids are able to take advantage of in high school in some states, they are able to start making money in high school. But in turn, if you don't have that financial literacy and that system built in, or starting to learn that at an early age, when you get to high school, you're behind. Then if you are fortunate enough to go to college and start getting paid, you're still behind. You're going to have to worry about your academics, your athletics, or your art of choice, on top of starting your business. So that's a large elephant to chew on. So we at Youth Education and Sports, with the Student Athlete Achievement Program, start teaching these small bites in elementary and middle school instead of waiting until they get to high school.
Smart.
I'd like to say something related to that, if I could.
Yes, yes, please do.
Let me just say, because we're talking really at a high level. I like to break things down. Number one, saving is very, very difficult. You have to be disciplined. And then once you save it, Coach made a key point. You don't save it to go spend it. You save it to build wealth. So very few people are going to be the Michael Jordans and the Kobe Bryants and all those folks. So the average person, if they start to develop this cadence, if they start to force themselves to save that 25% or 10% or whatever the number is, and you put it and you cannot touch it, that money will grow. But the problem is, most people, as soon as they have an emergency, which isn't really an emergency, they know that money's there and they grab it. So you have to work hard. And anybody tells you savings is easy, it's not. There's immediate gratification that you can get.
Right.
And the other thing is, there are those expenses you can control. We used to listen to a guy back in the old days on real estate tapes. And one of the things he used to say is, the average person drives their entire net worth down the freeway. You buy a big car, you live in large. And nowadays, with some of these young people, oh my goodness, they're financing a car over 72 months at 29% interest. That doesn't make good business sense. So let's get down to when you talk to financial literacy, let's start doing things that make more sense from a financial standpoint. And the other thing is, and I'm going to shut up, but you were talking about, and Geoff really hit it on the head with the phone. You've got apps now. I don't know if, some of the young people have had it. There's an app called Acorns.
Yes.
You can start with $10. There's a real estate app out there now called Arrived, where you can go in with $100. Well, you can actually go in with 10, but a lot of stuff. So there are platforms that we didn't have available to us.
Right.
And, there's Kathy introduced to it a fund called Betterment. So this is all part of this learning process. You need to constantly be learning, asking people like Kathy and Geoff what's out there, and finding ways to save. That's where it all starts.
Right. And if I can dovetail on Alan's point there, really the power of this thing is nearly immeasurable, right? So for the young people out there, as I mentioned before, if you wanted to know certain investment terms and how what are they, what are the definitions? I mean, AI is available to you too. And for you to give an example to AI, hey, listen, what if you're 18 years old and you make $300 a month at a job? What's the best way for me to save 10 or 25% of that? And what type of vehicles should I look at? AI will give you a response. Now you run it by your parents, run it by other people, somebody like me or like Kathy, but you have the tool right here to provide at least a basis to tread forward on. So, well said, Alan. Well said about those apps.
So again,
Man,
those
absolutely.
things
Go
are,
ahead, Coach. Yes, sir.
yes, sir. Those are great tidbits to add to this. So the problem that we see with kids
Mm-hmm.
is that, first of all, they have to be introduced to it.
Right.
And so our efforts lie in, hey, let's talk about these things in a forum. Let's get them started in some place. And by the credit union offering these free accounts, it's a jump start. And then in turn, they can start to experience and experiment with these different apps and continue to move forward. The problem being within some of our communities, it's a fast life. They want instant gratification.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Mm-hmm.
educational part to teach them how, why, when to do things with the monies, especially once they start getting some money built up, then they start wanting to purchase things. Parents may see that they have those financial increases and want to get the monies for them and for things that they're doing as well. So that educational part goes deep, talking about the social, emotional, and the state of communities. That is where most of our work is taking place. So Barry, we can roll from there, looking at the pitfalls and how we start moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we hit on some things here, Coach. I want to recap this. Alan said some additional things. Geoff said some additional things that are powerful, and then we're definitely going to move on. The budgeting and investment apps. Quick story. Because I learned about that, again, I call myself a late bloomer in understanding the investment game and actually using it to my advantage. But one thing I did do early in life, I did learn how to save. And that was the thing that was critical and beneficial to me. I just didn't have the investment part connected to it. But once I learned it, hey, man, it's fast forward, full speed ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my children are benefited, like Geoff mentioned. Our children have an absolute opportunity to benefit from the knowledge that we've gained over the years.
Absolutely.
And that's where, when Alan mentioned Acorns, that's one of the top accounts I've seen, investment accounts I've seen, because I set that up for both of my daughters. And I remember my oldest daughter, who just graduated from college back in May, I remember her, I'm sitting down with them, going over every month. We sat down and went over investment strategies and things of that nature. And I remember going over it with her before she was able to, have full access to her account. And I was like, hey, look at what it's doing. And so once she got to college and, the account aged out and, you had to turn it over to them, it was funny because she had her business. She has a tutoring business. And I was like, hey, I don't care what you put in it, but you have to put something in it to get the habit of saving and investing in your blood. So she started doing that. And I remember her out the blue, she calls me and she says, oh my gosh, I just looked at my account. I can't believe it's that much money in it. Just from what she was doing alone. Not what I was doing anymore, but what she was doing on her own. And so thank you, Coach Williams. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Geoff, for mentioning the fact that our children have the opportunity to do something great themselves and learning how to save, learning how to invest at an early age. So thank you for emphasizing that. And I call Coach Williams, I call the strategy that our young people have to learn to help with this instant gratification stuff, which we talk about all the time when they're setting their goals, is priority management. Parents, students, understand this term. Priority management. What's the most important thing you need to do right now? And you heard it from everybody on here. Miss Karen, Mr. Allen, Miss Kathy, Coach Williams, Mr. Geoff. Yo, start saving now. That's your number one priority. Period. Start investing now. That's your number one priority. And learn as much as you can immediately and start applying. So
another thing,
now,
another thing, let me just throw out there is
yes,
we're talking about from the investment standpoint. You want to accumulate as you're growing and assets, but you want to accumulate assets that will grow and will become worth more, not junk.
Right.
It's like, I'll give you an example. My first car was a 1970 Dodge Charger. And at the end of the day, it got old and kind of beat up. And my wife kept telling me to get rid of it. It's a piece of junk. And I said to her, one day this car is going to be worth some money. And I explained to her why. And she said, no, dump it. Get rid of it. It's a piece of junk. So that same car now is sitting in my garage, and I got to get it restored. I have to tell you that, but there's not a ton of work to be done. Fully restored, that car could be worth anywhere from $80,000 to $120,000. I bought the car for $4,000. I got to put some work in it, but nothing near that. But I knew that was going to have value down the road.
Right.
I mean, so we need to look at other assets. Art is an area. I mean, the things that when you buy, they're going to be worth more in the future. Because, I mean, everybody I talk, oh, yeah, I had one of those back in the day, but I gave it away. The other thing I had to learn early on is when you go to a car dealership and you do a trade-in, you don't really get any money for that car. If you own it outright and it's going to be worth something one day, keep it. Because all they really do is add that to your price and deduct it. You're not making any money off of it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Anyway, so again, that one's my opinion, but it's like trade-ins. Everybody I know owned a Chevy Chevelle or whatever back in the day, and they wish they kept it. So accumulate assets, but assets that will have a value at a later time. Not just so it's not a single focus. It's not just doing one thing. Right. To grow wealth, you must do different things.
Right.
Speaking of little steps and small steps, like Kathy's word about mindset. Actually, my younger son is a good example of that. Grew up in a middle-class family. We were comfortable. And so when he left the house, got out on his own, he was still going to Starbucks and to Noah's Bagels and using DoorDash to bring food back and all this kind of stuff. And he had no money and he couldn't understand that. And so we had to show him that, like Alan is saying, he's got a champagne taste on a beer budget. And so I had to show him that when you go to the grocery store, you check out. Well, now they have them on an app. The U deals or the super digital coupons. So you save money on things you're going to buy. You don't, maybe treat yourself once in a while at Starbucks, but you don't have to go there every day. And start. So therefore, you will have some money to start saving away a little bite at a time. But you've got to look at and set your budget, look at what's coming in and what's going out. And you have this mindset that you've got a plan and you're going to work up from that.
It was funny.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Because-
Yes, ma'am.
Because when Karen talked about the rich man's coffee, actually, when we spend holidays together, we drink the rich man's coffee, which is Folgers. I don't think we bought any Starbucks or anything like that, any specialty coffee. Karen was making Folgers for us.
Hey, and she makes a great cup of coffee too. That's for sure.
Yeah. We had good creamer though.
There you go.
Yeah, your creamer choices were outstanding. And Kathy, I'm glad you brought that up, because watch this. What Alan, Karen, you have talked about, really, it hit me just in that moment. Diversity, and I want you and Geoff to speak to this right quick about this. Diversifying our portfolios, which is what Alan's point. So is the correct term diversifying your portfolio? Is that what we should be looking to do?
Yeah, eventually, yes. The portfolio diversification gets to be important, and that's something that young people can look up and learn exactly what it is. I think to start, as Alan said, it can be a challenge to start saving, but ultimately, you don't want to have, as we say, all your eggs in one basket. You don't want to have it all in just a savings account. You don't want to have it all in just in stocks or a mutual fund or what have you. You don't want to have it all in real estate. That gets some people angry. But but diversification down the road is important. I think for our conversation today, Barry, I would say to focus on getting those apps started, getting that savings discipline ignited within yourself, getting that, for instance, that credit union account established, and starting small in those places for these younger folks, these student athletes, student artists, and hopefully there'll be parents there who can help guide in that process, and certainly someone at the credit union would be able to guide and help. But diversification, as you mentioned, comes into play and is very, very important, because you don't want all your eggs in one basket. It's like a former colleague of mine used to say, would you want to go down on a elevator that has one cable or four cables attached to it?
Exactly.
The one cable snaps, you're going down. With four, one snap, okay, you still got three. So that's what diversification is. It's just not having all your eggs in one basket.
I like that.
I love it. Thank you.
I'm gonna keep that. That's a great analogy, and let's keep it as that.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. But I would say
I like that.
It's not until for me, when I think about the word investment, I think about how much you can lose. What's your risk of losing? And so therefore, I'm not thinking about putting a certain amount in certain places until I have my foundation. My foundation is set. Because if I put 10% of stock, or then can I afford to lose the stock? Because it's in the most risky place to be. And so, and same thing with real estate. You can have 100% of your portfolio in real estate, but you have no liquidity. That's a nightmare. And I think Geoff and I would both know that. That means I'm gonna have to call Alan or call Karen when I have a major issue. So I cannot have 100% of anything in that type of illiquid type of portfolio. So yes, you have to. And the best thing to do is to just get around and learn what's your tolerance for risk,
right?
So that you don't have to borrow at astronomical prices, 25 and 29%. Oh my God, you can never grow, because we can't even earn 29% on an annual basis. So how can you pay that to a credit card on an annual basis?
Well put.
Yeah, there was one other thing that I learned. I went to work for a big company, and they had a profit sharing program. They had a 401k, and they said you could put up to 10% of your income monthly into that. I was like, why would I want to do that? Well, they matched on an annual basis based on the profitability of the company. So after I'd been there a couple of years, one of my friends said, why aren't you in that plan? And I was like, I didn't know anything about it. He said, Alan, if you put 10%, it's pre-tax. So you don't get taxed on that. And he said, the difference, if you take 10% a month, your net income is going to barely change. And I was like, no, that doesn't make any sense. But I tried it. I did 5%. And my net income didn't change. My take-home pay was the same.
Yeah.
So then I went to 10%. But during that 2 to 3 years when I wasn't getting that money, the company matched 100% because they had really good years. They matched 100% of what you put in.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I lost money because I didn't know any better. I mean, I got in it because they guaranteed you could put in up to 10% and they would match at least 10% of what you put in, again, based on the profitability of the company. But because we went through some record years, they matched 100% for several years.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, again, those are things you got to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Kathy tells our kids it's free money, 401k, matching funds with your company. You want to take, and after you've been with them X number of years, you're vested anywhere from 3 to 5 years, and their money, everything they put in is all yours.
It's all yours, yeah.
But no one explained that to me.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Alan, that's why what you just said is so important. That's why this conversation about financial literacy is so important. And I pray that we help somebody who watches this video and they hear the things that you all are talking about and they take action with it, because y'all are actually dropping jewels that they can actually listen to in this conversation and take it and apply it and immediately start making their money work for them. And that's what this is all about, learning. And that is key, Alan, what you just said, as far as these young people getting with these corporations at an early age, going back to an earlier conversation we had, and getting started early with the matching funds, and watch what happens. Again, what Geoff said is use time on your side, because with time, the numbers are staggering. Geoff, you're going to see that again, brother. You're going to see me on a stage or somewhere saying that. And I'm going to say, my brother Geoff Brown told me this quote right here. The numbers are staggering.
Yeah. And
speaking of that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Geoff. Yes, sir.
No, this is
go ahead. Yes, sir.
This is really just a sidebar. I guess we'll get into NIL and student athlete compensation and what have you.
That's where we're going now. Let's jump into it. Let's jump into it. Hey, Geoff, hold on 1 second. Let's do it like this then. Let's do it like this. Let me prop it up.
Yes.
Everybody. Okay. In this era of NIL, I want all of y'all, specifically Geoff, I want you to go first, and then Coach Williams, I want you to go second. In this era of NIL and collective money in high school, college athletics, where do you see this new income stream for student athletes heading in the future? Because some people think every single student athlete is making money. That's not the truth. Then you got guys that are making a lot of money. And what should they do? Because we've talked about several things they can do today. But I want to hear you and Coach Williams talk about this, and then of course it's open up to everybody to chime in. But go ahead, Geoff. Let's get into the NIL collective money discussion.
Yeah, where is it going? Gosh, what a grand mystery that is. And with recent legislation, House versus NCAA, with the recent executive order by President Trump. It's going to be fascinating to see how this all shakes out between those broader items, but also then what the states allow, right? Whether individual states are going to allow for high school athletes to get NIL money or collective money, and also for traditionally the college students who receive these collective funds as compensation. And of course, the name, image, likeness, building your own brand and what have you, and being compensated for that. Who knows where it's going to go? I've had some interesting conversations, looking forward in the coming weeks to having more interesting conversations with some top folks in Power 4 conferences basically now. And, I've gleaned a perspective or two in recent weeks. And the perspective was, we don't know what's going to happen. The one thing that's been settled is that these schools have $20.5 million to give out across the board, across all their sports programs. And that's the clarity. Then the individual athletes, I guess, or individual teams have to confer, negotiate, and what have you to see who's going to get what portion of that. But it's going to be interesting to see how, excuse me, the legislation progresses in the time to come. It's going to be interesting to see how the court battles progress in the time to come. And I know that's probably flying high above maybe what a 17 or 18-year-old might be looking at, but hopefully there's a parent on here listening whose child, if they're looking at NIL deals, that they can embrace some of the things that we've talked about saving money, about investing money. And as Barry and I, we've spent some time over this summer, actually. This is kind of a sidebar, but he and I have spent some time talking about student athlete compensation and ways that we can approach families and say, hey, listen, it's great that you're making all this. This is for the big money, the big dollar athletes, if you will. You're getting paid this money now, but the reality of it is that not everybody's going to go into the league, whatever league that is. And not everybody's going to have a long career in the league. And so to be able to look at what's down the road, that time function, to have the mindset of just not today, as Karen was saying, but having the mindset of let's, use some money now. Young people are going to want to spend their money. There's no doubt about it. It's fine, but put some away. And so the broader question in terms of direction of where NIL and the collective monies are going to, what that's going to lead to, in other words, the complexion that's going to look like, boy, it's wide open. And like I said, I've talked to some pretty top level people here recently, and it's a thing of legislation and court decisions. But there's still an opportunity for athletes to get nicely compensated for, if you will, for their services or their participation. And, hopefully at some point, without getting too deep into this, with the collective, the thought of collective bargaining where everybody would get paid, right? And that the athletes would actually maybe become employees of the university. I don't think the university is like that for a lot of reasons, but that could be a direction that it goes.
Right. Gotcha.
Hopefully that's
I like
helpful.
that. Coach Williams. No, that was very helpful. I think before Coach goes, when you start talking about the legislation, of course, that's going to be critical. And Alan, we opened up with that when Alan said, hey, the guys with the money can dictate legislation in a lot of times. So that's very true.
Yeah.
So I think you hit it on the head. Legislation and these court decisions, which is going to set precedent, is going to be critical to the future NIL. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you, sir. Coach Williams.
Yes, that is definitely true, and frontline and current events happening around. But in the meantime, these kids still have an opportunity to take advantage of the NIL collectives, mm-hmm. and on a local level to become marketing agents for their local businesses around the area.
Yes.
So one of the things that we're trying to do as well is to teach them how to use their NIL abilities to go ahead and start marketing themselves mm-hmm. at a young age. So families are going to restaurants. For you to represent that restaurant is
Mhm.
something that's real right now.
Yeah.
And these kids are able to go ahead and start marketing for the companies, and the companies really want to see that. Yes, they have to have their social media accounts
Mhm.
managed well. They have to have the ability to receive funds. They have to understand contracts.
Mhm.
In turn, it becomes a whole business that they have to learn about at an early age. In comes the character in your community and your leadership ability in your community.
Mhm.
These kids understand, or some do, some don't, that if you're an outstanding citizen in your community, that lends an opportunity for you to be the representative of those companies in your community, and it jump starts that whole process. Uh, legislatures and legislation moving forward on the state level, it's forth and coming, but to what degree that takes place is still up in the air. Um, but I do appreciate hearing what you're saying, Geoff, as far as the things that are coming down the pipeline. Um,
Yeah.
Man,
And there's more.
that's
Go
hey,
ahead.
Geoff, Emery. Well, Coach, I think you just made something very, very strong statement that we focus on every day with the young people, which is good character. Young people, understand. Now, you cannot represent yourself any kind of way and think these brands locally,
Mhm.
statewide, nationally, internationally are going to want to do business with you, and you're not showing good character. You're not
Right.
showing a positive image.
Right.
So that's the first and foremost thing you have to have. And going back to something that Kathy said earlier, the mindset is critical. What is your mindset?
Mhm.
What are you trying to accomplish with your life? What are you trying to accomplish with your brand? Because Coach William just said you have the ability to be a marketing agent.
Mhm.
And the last time I checked, most marketable people have good images. Their brand is stellar. Their personal brand has a good vibe to it.
Mhm.
And so keep that in mind as
Mhm.
you continue on your athletic academic journey, your business journey, that positive character matters. Karen,
Barry.
Alan,
Mhm.
Kathy,
Go
y'all
ahead.
want to say anything about NI? Oh, Geoff, go ahead. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Can I just something on the character piece? You know,
Yes, sir.
young people. Something that my mom used to tell myself and my brothers. Um, before we would go out for whatever, right? Is that don't disgrace the family name. And
Yeah.
yeah, seriously, yeah. I mean, my parents, yeah. I mean, don't disgrace the family name. Don't do anything foolish when you go out, right? Um, and when I came around to when my kids were coming into their early teens, I didn't use that term, but since social media had come out and what have you, I use this double R term, reputational risk. And you can risk your reputation by putting something foolish on this. Like, it's a great tool that we talked about earlier, but if you put something on IG or one of the other platforms that can be seen and viewed by someone who might be interested in you, that might injure your opportunity, uh, you might not want to do it. And if you're thinking about it, well, probably the wrong thing to do, or just at least ask a question of someone else, an adult. Should you do this or should you do that in terms of posting something? Go ahead. Just want to share that
Yeah,
reputation
yeah,
risk.
and to tie into that as well,
No, that was good. Go ahead, Alan.
as you all know, at our mentoring weekend, one of the things we talk about is the proper use of social media. And there are two things to tie in what Geoff was saying. Once you put it out there, it never goes away, ever. And then the second thing we try to teach young people is the 24-hour rule. When you see something and you get hot and you want to respond, wait 24 hours. Because if it's good now, it'll be good in 24
Yes, sir.
hours.
Mhm.
But usually within 24 hours, you start to think about it. You decide, one, it doesn't warrant a response, or two, a more intelligent approach to how to respond without embarrassing yourself or making yourself look bad. Because as Coach mentioned, your name is your brand. So you have to be very protective of that.
Yep.
Wow. I like that. Reputational risk. I've never heard that term before, but shout out to Mom Dukes on that one, Geoff. And that's a great one, brother. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Kathy, Karen. Now, I've seen y'all around youth. And again, your skills to relate is critical to them. Because we have a saying with my Makeaway education program family, you have to reach them in order to teach them.
Mhm.
And you all seem to do a great job of reaching young people. What do you see in our current youth, middle school, high school, even our collegiate students? What are you seeing in them now? What is your current view of our young people today? What would y'all say to that question right there? What do y'all see? Karen, we'll go. Well, Kathy, you go first, and then Karen, please.
I would say I see hope. I
Mhm.
see that they have more hope than sometimes we want to have.
Mhm.
They have so many advantages with the challenges that they have in front of them. They are resistant to things that we used to take and say, okay, then that's going to affect me. They are much more, they have some bounce back ability. I don't know the correct word for that, but
Mhm.
what I see that they have so many opportunities, so many things available to them that they don't even know the word I can't. They like, I'm gonna figure it out. They have
Yeah.
more I'm gonna figure it out than almost anyone I've ever met. And they're teaching me more than I have ever been taught before.
Mhm.
So I'm appreciative of their optimism. I need their optimism. And they have a lot of that. That's what's hopeful for me. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Wow,
Yeah,
I love
I
it,
think
Miss Karen.
our student athletes and uh, students in general, they're just they're they're so smart, and they really want to be out there and succeed. And as Kathy said, they've got the hope, they've got the drive, and many of them have a vision, and it's just a joy to walk alongside them, kind of point a few things out, point them in the right direction, and watch them fly. I just think that I'm just really encouraged by many young people that we have nowadays. Yes, there's the few that you see on TV, but there are so many more that our country is so blessed to have, and that they will succeed, and it's a joy to be walking with them.
Hey, Barry, I'd like to
Absolutely.
add on to that as well. Very well said, ladies.
Absolutely.
But in turn, looking at the younger middle school, elementary school age kids, they're very resilient. They bounce back when they have a setback. They do have an eye for their future. They want to do things differently, and for them to be told that they can be successful and do anything they want to is very encouraging to them. So yeah, they're very resilient. That's the word that comes to mind when I think about the population we're dealing with.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love
Well,
it. I love it. I love it, Coach.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Alan. Yes, sir.
Well, but there is one thing I have to say. I'm an old guy, so in fact, a guy told me I wasn't an OG. I was a double OG now. So I'm.
Now Alan, you might be a quadruple OG.
Okay.
You might be a
Okay. Let's not go too
OG.
far with this, Barry. But they are one of the challenges. They are exposed to things in middle school and kindergarten, or middle school and high school, that I wasn't exposed till I was like 30 years of age or older. Things that could be very, they're major decisions you have to make, and you don't have the experience level to make it. I mean, the first time I was exposed to drugs was marijuana, and I was in college. I mean, kids nowadays are being exposed to that when they're in elementary school, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, elementary
So,
school, you're right. Mm-hmm.
And if I said something stupid, I said it to my friends. If you put it on social media, you say it to the world. So those are the potential pitfalls, though, that they face that my generation didn't face because of, you know, all the technology changes. So we have to start expressing and teaching them things at a much younger age. And, you know, another thing is, and, you know, just getting in some basic stuff, we talk about, you know, when you talk about financial literacy and things of that nature, one of the things we talked to them about at our mentoring weekend is that I got my first Social Security number when I was 17 years of age. And that was because I got a summer job and I had to have a Social Security number. Mm-hmm. These kids are born with Social Security numbers. So most of them don't even know they have a credit history already. They don't know to protect that. And then we've heard of situations where parents' credit was bad and they opened a utility account, or one really extreme example where someone's relative bought a home, $1 million home with their Social Security number. And by the way, lost the home and filed bankruptcy. And this kid thinks, I've got no credit history. And they go to get a basic credit application and they go, oh, you have $1 million foreclosure on your credit history. And they say, when? And when I was 12 years old. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, again, it's aside from some of the stuff we're talking about, but these are huge differences. You know, when you're born, they issue you a Social Security number now. So those are other.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I like to just kind of get into basic stuff that these kids need to be aware of, because we've had kids student athletes who were in our program who were 20 years old and they didn't even know what a FICO score was. They didn't know what their credit was. So those are the kind of other things I just like to throw out there that I didn't have to live with as a child.
Yeah.
Well, Alan, Geoff, did you have something to say? Did you have something to add to
that? Just to dovetail, just a quick add. You know, and this is not really on the investment side, but, you know, I'm speaking to the personal finance side, you know, and I would say to young people out there who don't understand maybe one or two terms that he used, again, you know, to find out what a FICO score is. What is a FICO score? FICO is the Fair Isaacs Corporation, acronym for Fair Isaacs Corporation, and they score credit and what have you. So it's a public company too, but anyway, we'll get into that. But you can use that tool to answer those questions. So anyway, that's what I had.
No, that's good, Geoff. We got to keep emphasizing that. And that is the purpose of our first ever, because Coach Williams and I have been talking about this. This is why this is our first ever financial literacy student athlete playbook video conversation. And our mantra for youth education and sports is vision, goals, habits, work ethic. And then we've added financial literacy to our mantras and our pillars of success now. So that's why this call is so historic for youth education and sports, because moving forward, because of what Alan just said, because of Coach Williams, because of what Karen said, because of what Kathy said, because of what you just said earlier, that we are responsible for teaching the youth that we have an ear of these things. There's nobody else going to teach them but us. Parents. Right. There's nobody else that's going to teach them but you. And you're their first teacher as a parent. And then you have your extended family, the grandparents, the uncles, the aunts. And then you have the educators, the coaches, and all these people, the Alan Thigpens of the world, the Karen Rogers of the world, the Kathy Gardners of the world, the Jeff Browns of the world. And we have the opportunity to share these things to them, with them. And that's what we are. Youth Education and Sports is dedicated to adding financial literacy to our regimen, to our curriculum, to our everyday message to our young people and adults alike. Because at this time, they're fighting a battle. They're going to be fighting a battle even more in the future,
Right.
where they have to understand what's going on economically so that they can live the lives that they are destined to live.
Also, something that Kathy
that
brought
being
up.
said, go ahead, Alan. Yes, sir.
Well, Kathy at our mentoring weekend teaches financial literacy classes, and what she's finding is a parent can't teach a kid something they don't know. She's teaching them things like what a FICO score is and the importance of it. And she's had some of our student athletes come back to her and ask her to have a meeting with their parents to explain to them, because their parents don't know what their FICO score is. They don't understand creditworthiness. So that's why we've got to get that information out. That's why you guys are doing a great job for youth education and sports. If nothing else, teach the kids and have the kids teach the parents.
Right.
It's like
and
we
whatever
have
way we can do. Alan.
Right. Correct. Right. But never assume that the parents can do it. You always assume, and that's why.
No. I got you.
Yeah, that's why we went back to.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, and at our weekend we went into basics, because we didn't teach basics. We didn't talk about FICO score. We didn't talk about credit. We assumed there was a certain knowledge level that everybody had.
Right.
But as I always say, at my age, it's been a long time since I was 12 years old. So one, I don't remember a lot of stuff I didn't know. And number two, the rules have changed. So
substantially.
You got just establish the basics.
Absolutely.
So, and I think, Geoff made a great point. I use some terms. I hate when people use terms and expect I know what it is. So yeah, we have to be more basic. When I talk about a FICO score, I'm glad. Thank you for saying what it was and telling them where they can find where it is, because we've got to. It's just something people don't talk about.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this esteemed panel, I thank you for your time. I thank you for the outstanding information you shared. And before we finish up, I want to just recap. It started with Kathy when she talked about optimism and hope. Then Karen followed up with words like joy and phrases like watch our young people fly. Those are the things we have the ability to push. There's a lot of negative narratives out here. However, we have the opportunity to push positive and productive narratives, like Alan just said, starting with the foundation. And I think Kathy mentioned that too. Yeah, Kathy mentioned a good foundation is critical. And when we do that, now we have the opportunity to build something on solid ground. And so now, as we close out, I want each of you to think about this. What would you like to share? This is your closeout statement to share with student athletes, student artists, the parents, educators, coaches, anybody that's watching this video. What would you like to share with them about financial literacy? This is your takeaway moment. In education, Coach Williams and I say this is your exit ticket. To get out the classroom before this bell ring, you need to let me know something. So again, we're gonna start with ladies first. Chivalry is not dead. There's some outstanding gentlemen out here that understand. So, Miss Karen Rogers, what would you like to leave with the people that watch this video?
I would like to say be open and listen without any prejudice and apply that to your situation, but be open to learning.
Be open to learning. I love it. I love it. Then you know we're gonna go to Miss Kathy Gardner.
Man, my exit ticket. How can I get out of here with an exit ticket? Man, I would like to say that first thing I would like to say is, of course, thank you again for this opportunity to share with you all here and to the young people. I would like to encourage you to be all you can be and to let you know that you can be, and that whatever you see anyone else doing, you can accomplish the same thing, if not more. You can be greater because you were created to be greater. And I would like to say there are 3 ways that you can learn. You can have the experience yourself, which is the most costly one to have. It's you to have the experience yourself. Or I can listen to Alan tell me a story about his own experience. And that would be secondary. But you also have the opportunity to hear Alan talk about one of his friends, and you can learn from that story. And all I say is that learn, because you don't want to continue to repeat the same mistake over and over again. And what we want you to do is repeat the same successes over and over again. And with that, I would like to take the mic and drop it. Thank you so much.
Repeat the successful things you do. Woo-hoo. Yes, ma'am. You dropped the mic on that one for sure. I love it. I love it. Mr. Alan Thigpen, sir. Your mic is muted, Alan.
You're muted.
Unmute yourself.
All right. Yeah, thank you for having us on all of us. I think this has been hopefully for people who listen to it, it'll be a meaningful event. And I think it was good for all of us just to get together and be able to see we're on the same page. So there are 2 quick things I'm going to say. Absolutely. The beauty of youth is you don't know you can't do anything. As we get older, we find out we can't do it. But when you're younger, you don't know and you're willing to try. And the second thing is, it was a quote from one of a guy from my generation, Bobby Kennedy. He said, "Some people see things that are and wonder why. I dream things that never were and wonder why not." So I think that's a good place to leave.
I love it. I love it. You are too young not to believe you can make great things happen for yourself and your family. Mr. Thigpen, thank you, sir. Mr. Geoff Brown.
Yes. It goes on the learning thing again, to think back as a teenager. The things I wanted to do, the areas of study that I wanted to pursue in college and what have you. That's all pretty neat, right? And as you continue to grow, though, and see the world, you learn things and your perspective shifts and what have you. I won't go too far down that line, but to encapsulate what I like to say, I want you to remember, young people, I want you to, and parents, whoever, I want you to remember 2 letters, C and Q. Remain curious and ask questions. Remain curious about something that you don't understand and ask questions about it, because that's how you're going to learn. So C and Q. Remain curious and ask questions. Thanks for putting this together, Barry.
Oh, man, you're more than welcome, my brother. Be curious. Ask questions. Keep learning. Mr. Geoff Brown. Wow. Powerful. Coach Emery Williams.
For my exit ticket, I'd like to share that all this knowledge that has been presented today is a wealth, a lot of wealth and a lot of wisdom. But my challenge to the youth and parents that have listened to this is to dream. Dream big. And when you get that dream, write it down
Mm-hmm.
Because God didn't just plant that dream in your head for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Write it down, set some goals, visit those goals daily. End of the week, evaluate that goal, then restate that goal, but keep it on the forefront of your mind, and it'll happen.
Well said.
Wow. Dream big. Write down them goals
Mm-hmm.
and achieve those goals.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, y'all breaking down some good stuff today. Y'all broke down some good stuff today. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Coach Williams and I, representing youth education and sports, home of the Student Athlete Achievement Program, we thank you, Karen, Alan, Kathy, Geoff, because we know that you could have been doing anything else today. And you took this time out of y'all busy schedules to be here to share this wealth of knowledge to our young people around the world. Financial literacy is critical. Education is critical. And I personally believe education and financial literacy go hand in hand. Because the theme throughout today is learning. Y'all just closed out this video conversation with everybody basically talking about learning and be a lifelong learner, be it with a formal education or informal education. We all can pick up books and read. Mr. Geoff Brown showed us with the cell phone right there with these search engines. With AI, you have the ability to learn a great amount of information. Find the information that suits you and use that information to design the life that you want to live. And at the basis of all that, be a person that gives back and serves others, because that's the true meaning of life and living life to the fullest, when you help somebody else achieve something great in their lives. That's the key. So thank y'all for watching the financial literacy, the first ever financial literacy student athlete playbook video conversation featuring Karen Rogers, featuring Alan Thigpen, featuring Kathy Gardner, featuring Geoff Brown, and featuring Coach Emery Williams. And I am Barry Brown, author of the #1 youth book for student athletes, the Student Athlete Playbook, Success in the Classroom, Sports, and Life, and a part of the leadership, along with Coach Williams, of Youth Education and Sports, the nonprofit organization that believes that when we find you wherever you are in life, we're going to help you with the tools for you to go wherever you want to go. And thank you to our brothers organization in California that we're building an amazing relationship with, and we will both continue to impact hundreds, thousands, and one day millions of young people around the world. We are G.A.M.E. We thank you. And listen, share this video with anyone you believe needs to hear this information and receive this information. One love, and we'll see you next time with another outstanding Student Athlete Playbook video conversation. One love.
One love. Take care.